When the National Resistance Movement came to power in January 1986, President Yoweri Museveni promised a fundamental change in the way the affairs of the country will be managed. This fundamental change was reflected in, among other things, the appointment of the Inspector General of Government, Mr. Augustine Ruzindana. With no office premises, he started the work of the IGG with only his secretary and office messenger from his previous employment at Uganda Advisory Board of Trade on 18th September 1986. He later acquired 2 floors on Postel Building and core staff from the Besweli Mulondo Anti-Corruption Commission.
By the end of the 10 years, it was fairly a highly respected institution within the country and also abroad. And abroad we were a fairly respected institution. And that's how, for example, as IGG, I became one of the founders of Transparency International, because by that time we had established an international reputation. The Chinese Minister for Supervision visited our office twice to learn our experiences.
It was, however, the 1995 Constitution which entrenched the office of the Inspectorate of Government with a well-prescribed mandate of functions and powers to promote the rule of law and natural justice, eliminate corruption and abuse of office, promote good governance and enforce the leadership code. The Inspectorate reports to Parliament through periodic reports to the Speaker. The second Inspector General of Government, Jotham Tumwesige, assumed office in 1996 and served until 2004. He is credited with the creation of several directorates to make the Inspectorate more efficient, as well as the establishment of the first regional offices, which brought services of the Inspectorate closer to the people.
It became stronger than it was before through our own efforts. We spread its wings by creating regional offices. And by doing so, we were able to investigate corruption cases at lower levels instead of waiting for people to come to Kampala to lodge their complaints. We tackled quite sensitive corruption cases during my time.
On 23rd February 2005, Justice Faith Mwanda was sworn in as the third Inspector General of Government. During her tenure, which lasted until 2009, the Inspectorate prosecuted some of the biggest cases involving large amounts of money and high-ranking personalities. These included the Gavi funds and NSSF cases. Equally significant was Justice Mwanda's role in encouraging the Chief Justice to establish the Anti-Corruption Division of the High Court to expedite handling of corruption cases.
We used to have so many cases because since we are not being challenged, that it was not constituted. We had so many cases and they were just lagging behind it when they were going in these ordinary courts. It was actually moving very fast and very good, and at least I was very happy with the Justice Sikatusi's proceedings. At least when the cases used to go there, he wouldn't joke around with the corrupt. Would really do what is useful, what is needed for them. And of course now it is being fought left and right. They are saying it is not constitutional. I don't know how unconstitutional it is if it is the Chief Justice who actually designates magisterials, and he's the one who has designated particular magistrates to handle anti-corruption cases.
Between 2009 and 2012, Mr. Raphael Baku, who was Deputy IGG since 2005, became the Acting Inspector General of Government. Despite protracted judicial challenges on issues of legitimacy, the Inspectorate of Government strengthened its investigative and prosecution capacity, making it possible to enhance public confidence in the institution.
The complaints which were also being investigated and cases which were being generated for prosecutions in the court were also increasing, convictions were also increasing. So I think we were on an upward trend up to the point when I left. So I was satisfied that we had a very clear direction. Actually, that was my personal perception, was that corruption cannot be fought through pious preaching or through prayers alone. Preaching is good, trying to make people to understand that corruption is an evil is good, but it must be complemented by harsh punishments. It must be complemented by strong law enforcement. So we put strong law enforcement, which is investigation with the objective of prosecution, as our priority.
Mr. Baku also mobilized efforts to establish a permanent home for the Inspectorate through acquisition of a plot of land in Kampala Central Business District. The Inspectorate of Government celebrates 25 years of existence in 2013 with Justice Irene Mulyagonja as the Inspector General of Government, assisted by 2 deputies.
The mandate of the Inspectorate is laid out in the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, specifically Article 225 of the Constitution. It is a very broad mandate, but briefly, it is to promote and foster strict adherence to the rule of law and principles of natural justice in administration. It is also to eliminate and foster the elimination of corruption, abuse of authority and of public office. The Inspectorate also tries to promote fair, efficient and good governance in public office, and it supervises the implementation of the Leadership Code. The Inspectorate has the mandate to investigate acts and omissions, advice, decisions or recommendations by a public officer and any authority to which the Article 225 applies, that is public office, which is taken in the exercise of administrative function.
In the fight against corruption, the Inspectorate, through the Directorates of Operations and Regional Offices, institutes investigations on all corruption cases authorized by the IGG.
When I just joined, I led a team which investigated Electoral Commission. And that investigation partly led to the removal of the whole commission in Electoral Commission. You remember the Kasuza Commission? We actually arrested and charged the secretary, which is the accounting officer, the head of finance, and so about 8 cows from local government. All of them had colluded. Subsequently, we investigated another big case, which is actually at the Supreme Court as of now. It involves Africop, a company called Africop, a cooperative society. They were claiming some money from government. The last time in the Court of Appeal, the judgment was given in favor of the claimant. And you know how much it was going for? 500 billion. That is the value of the case. As of now, it should be in trillion. But we successfully investigated this case and actually found that the people who are claiming this money from government had forged documents which they were using. One of those documents was actually a court judgment. So as of now, we have actually still managed to stop government paying this, which is almost 1 trillion.
The Inspectorate of Government works closely with the Office of the Auditor General, which identifies areas of misuse of public funds that are investigated and, when necessary, prosecuted by the Inspectorate.
The office is one of the partner agencies in the fight against corruption, and we meet under the auspices of the Interagency Forum. The Interagency Forum was formed some years back, and basically it's designed to try to coordinate the efforts of fighting corruption. And as one of the partner agencies, we also have the Uganda Revenue Authority, the DPP, the CID police, amongst many others. And we come together and we relate with each other. It's the Auditor General who raises the red flag. Basically, when we go out and audit, we come up with issues. And those issues, as we prepare our reports to pass them on to Parliament, we copy them also to the Department of Ethics and Integrity and also to the IGG. And that enables us, or enables the IGG to have a head start on issues which may involve corruption. So not all the issues we raise in our reports are corruption related, but they are indeed very many which are of interest to the Inspector General of Government.
Many corruption cases after investigation are forwarded to the Directorate of Legal Affairs, which will assess and recommend remedies which may include prosecution of suspects. The Directorate of Legal Affairs has prosecuted hundreds of cases, including many high-profile ones, leading to the imprisonment of culprits and recovery of funds.
So far as the criminal prosecution is concerned, we have prosecuted all manner of cases, from mid-level civil servants to high-ranking government officials. We, of course, the highest profile a political leader you can prosecute in our country is a vice president, because the president has immunity. We prosecuted the vice president. We have prosecuted sitting cabinet ministers, not former but sitting cabinet ministers for various offences. We have prosecuted heads of large parastatal organizations, and some who have secured convictions. We have prosecuted also many accounting officers, because this is where most of these crimes are committed, the accounting officers, because no crime can be committed without the knowledge or neglect of the accounting officers. And here we're talking of permanent secretaries, we're talking of chief administrative officers in the districts, and we're also talking of heads of the parastatals.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is a strong partner of the Inspectorate of Government in sharing information that facilitates their prosecutions.
Can you imagine if they were not there, Inspectorate was not there, then we would be handling all those matters that they are handling. So definitely the establishment of the Inspectorate has helped lighten our load. And also at the level of prosecutors, you now have somebody you can compare notes with. You can talk to them and they understand what you are talking, and because they are in the same business. So it helps. They are like our peers. We talk with them, we consult, we share notes and all. And the other area is the thing I was telling our PRO is that we've just made a decision to prosecute one of our officers for corruption. It is much easier now for us to pass on that case to IGG, because with our officers there may be a small conflict of interest who are prosecuting their colleague. In fact, if you got caught and lose such a case, the public will say, but could they have prosecuted their own? But now we can hand over that person to IGG, and we are confident he will do a good job, and whatever happens, at least we'll know it was done well.
The Inspectorate of Government has established an Information and Internal Inspection Division to vet staff and investigate any complaints of improper conduct by staff of the Inspectorate.
It is not really a very serious problem, but definitely these are human beings. They are human beings. Where we receive those complaints, we handle them appropriately and without fear of favor. We normally handle them. If we receive a complaint that somebody is being compromised, the office takes action against that individual.
As an institution, this is our docket. We are the face of the fight against corruption. But what is the integrity? What is our integrity? We as IGG, Deputy IGG, as Director, as Investigator, all the people involved. I think the people who are in the kitchen, the people who are charged with the responsibility to fight corruption, must be people of integrity. We must be beyond reproach. The public should have confidence in us.
The division also gathers information on corruption in the country and periodically releases the data tracking mechanisms shared with other stakeholders.
We try to document everything we do, reports, even when they come through that mobile telephone or come through verbal phone reports. We make sure things are recorded, investigated, and produce reports, and the reports will have a section of recommendations. So that is very important because that's where we really feel that we have our teeth dug in. It's important that our recommendations are implemented.
The Inspectorate has focused significant efforts and resources towards prevention of corruption through enhanced public awareness of the values of integrity and dangers of corruption.
The National Integrity Survey indicated that we have reached the majority of Ugandans. 80% of Ugandans are aware of the Inspectorate of Government, are aware of what it does, and have been joining the struggles of the Inspectorate of Government in fighting corruption.
The Directorate of Education and Prevention of Corruption has, among other activities, established integrity clubs in tertiary institutions throughout the country to develop a cadre of integrity ambassadors among young people committed to fighting corruption and upholding the virtues of integrity.
We normally come gather to discuss very many issues. And some of the issues, we normally organize outreaches. We go to we visit different schools, nearby schools, secondary schools, and primary schools. We make it an effort to see that these people, the fellow youth, the younger people in these schools, get the gospel of integrity, and they get to know how someone can come up with a sense of accountability, good ethical morals with him or her, and see the way forward of how they can have a good life, a good lifestyle in the coming future.
As you go across the country, east, west, north, and south, there are many of these integrity ambassadors spread all over the country. And we are quite proud of them because they are our ambassadors out there, because we cannot be everywhere, and they are doing quite a good job. I was pleased to note that many other countries have adopted this system of using integrity ambassadors because we believe young people have a greater stake in the governance of this country, in the stability of this country. After all, they have more years to live.
One of the most effective anti-corruption strategies adopted by the Inspectorate is the proactive involvement in the implementation of NUSAF 2 program. This was as a result of the high numbers of complaints received during the implementation of NUSAF 1, in which a lot of shoddy work was done and large amounts of money embezzled. Under NUSAF 2, the Inspectorate was mandated to manage the transparency, accountability and anti-corruption TAC component through training of committees from communities to be more involved in implementation of projects in their localities by closely monitoring project activities like procurement.
We are like eyes of IGGs. They say we are small IGGs in our communities. So the building must be proportionate to the money allocated to it. So continue to check on those who are on that project and to ensure that it's a very good gift given by the government to our local community.
The Minister for Karamoja and First Lady, Honorable Janet Museveni, who participated in the training of communities in Karamoja, was optimistic about more efficient implementation of NUSAF 2.
NUSAF 2 is really important, not just for the people of Karamoja, but also for the government of Uganda, to see whether these resources can actually reach the people this time round. We must therefore ensure that the lapses and gaps that made the first project a failure will not occur again.
Teams from the Inspectorate of Government now regularly make inspection visits to NUSAF 2 projects to get first-hand information on how the implementation is being monitored. These inspection visits end with consultative meetings with district leaders, service providers and community representatives. This has gone a long way to minimize shoddy work and loss of public funds to unscrupulous contractors.
If you go down to the village, you'll actually see this project. You'll see schools being built, you'll see teachers' houses, you'll see health centers, you see animals. If you go to the north, you will not actually imagine that animals were raided by Karamojong. They are there live. This project is actively seen on the ground. I think that is the greatest success of the implementation of TAC. Recently, there was that scam in the office of the Prime Minister. Because of our involvement in this project and because of keeping an eye on the fund, not a single cent of this project was touched from the office of the Prime Minister.
We intend to increase monitoring of government programs. Right now we are monitoring 3 major programs in government. We are monitoring the Northern Uganda Social Action Fund. We are also monitoring PRDP. We are also starting on monitoring a program of the Ministry of Education, Universal Post-Primary Education program for infrastructure. We also are made to understand or have been requested to monitor the program of the World Bank in the 7 municipalities where they are going to improve infrastructure. So those are the areas that we are focusing on.
The Inspectorate of Government has also used information, education and communication materials as well as electronic and print media campaigns to enhance public awareness.
Our focus is mainly on prevention. We want a situation where everybody knows what needs to happen, and when it doesn't happen, it is reported as quickly as possible, dealt with, and if possible, if a loss is likely to occur, we prevent the loss. If it has just started, we stop it and prevent it from getting aggravated. So that's the future we see in the Inspectorate of Government.
Under the Ombudsman mandate, the Inspectorate of Government receives complaints related to administrative injustice, governance and abuse of authority investigated through the Ombudsman Directorate.
We have been in existence for coming now to 3 years, and what I can say is that during that time we handle quite a number of complaints. The number is anywhere between 800 to 1,000. At present, we have probably about 500 ongoing investigations into cases of maladministration. We have also been involved in what I would describe as systemic investigations, where we've investigated and we've made recommendations that are made to improve systems, system-wide interventions. We've been involved in institutions like the Microfinance Support Center. We are presently engaged in Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation. We are also in Mulago Hospital looking at issues broadly of maladministration of a systemic nature in Mulago Hospital. Those are just a few of the kind of work that we have been doing so far.
During the 25 years of its existence, the Inspectorate has opened 16 regional offices. Regional offices have played an important role in receiving ombudsman complaints and investigations that have helped government save large sums of money and redress injustices arising from maladministration.
Because of the proximity now, I am sure these people are getting a lot of information, and that's why they are doing a good job.
The Jinja Regional Office recently handled a case of fraudulent compensation to bogus claimants for land on which Bukwali College School in Bujiri district is situated.
Our investigations established and confirmed that this land belongs to government because this school was established in 1980 when land belonged to government then. So we stopped a fraudulent compensation of 1.3 billion shillings for this land. And the government had also decided to compensate in order to facilitate the construction of these new structures. But there are money to construct, even when we stopped the payments because the payments were fraudulent.
In Arua, the regional office is also investigating complaints of delayed and shoddy work on Riki Bridge and the road linking Ajam and Oluko sub-counties.
Total contract costs should be over 900 million for both the road and the bridge, but nothing is happening. So that's when we started asking questions, and then we're seeing a lot of things, and we feel that it hasn't been managed well. There is a lot of explanations that need to be made, and before any money is sunk into that project, we must make sure that if somebody has done something wrong, they should be punished, and any money that goes there will actually do the work.
Government releases a lot of money to the local governments, and it is important for us to have our eyes on the funds which are released in the local governments. And a lot of money is given there, therefore a lot of corruption mostly takes place. That's one. Two, procurement. When there's a lot of money given to the districts, there's a lot of procurement issues which we are handling, which I think we have now handled these matters, and very many procurement matters are being handled now properly by districts, because we always are handy in handling those matters.
In ensuring adherence to tendering and other procurement processes, the Inspectorate of Government works closely with the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority, PPDA.
Public procurement is one of the areas which are very prone to corruption. So as the Public Procurement Authority, we actually work very closely with the IGG's office, because whenever we get cases that we are investigating, that although they are procurement related, there are usually some aspects of actually corruption. So they are the cases that we actually hand over to the IGG, because that is their constitutional mandate. We also work with the IGG because when the IGG also is investigating cases of corruption which are related to the public procurement sector, they also refer them to PPDA, because due to our technical expertise, we are able to guide on aspects of the law that relate to that particular aspect being investigated.
The constitutional mandate to enforce the Leadership Code requires the Inspectorate of Government to ensure that specified leaders periodically declare their incomes, assets and liabilities, which should be verified, and investigate any conduct that compromises honesty, impartiality and integrity of leaders.
We have about 25,000 leaders. And then to effectively do our work, we need to carry out a verification of all those people who declare. But this would need a huge amount of resources. It would require a lot of resources to do that kind of work. So verification of one leader ranges between 4 to 6 million sometimes. Normally what we do, we just look at categories of leaders to show that we are not really, to be fair, to say we are not selective. We say if we have to investigate ministers, let us investigate all the ministers. If we are to investigate the LC5s, let us investigate all the LC5s. So, in that case, we are very fair. Except there are other cases where we carry out to verification. This is where we have received complaints.
In executing its functions, the Inspectorate of Government relates with the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, which leads the Anti-Corruption Partnership.
Our relationship with IG, Inspector of Government, has been that of like find and act on. We get reports of misdemeanors, shortfalls, defaulting, and name them all issues related to corruption. And we invite them to further investigate, establish the truth in it, and go further to prosecute. And I'm telling you, our relationship with IG, Inspectorate of Government, has been very cordial, complimentary, and real fulfilling.
With the creation of more directorates and opening of more regional offices to improve service delivery, the Inspectorate of Government has undergone rapid expansion of staff and budgetary allocation.
When we came on board, it was started as a department in the Office of the President, but it has now grown to an establishment of over 300 people. We've been able to raise the budget over the last 15 years by about 10 times. The budget by then was about 3.1 billion. As I talk now, we have a budget of 35.4 billion. We've been able to reach out to various districts. As I talk now, we have 16 regional offices. And of recent, we've been able to enhance the salary of staff. The salary was quite miserable, and it was causing us a lot of trouble with regard to people leaving for better salaries. As of now, the salary has been risen. The lowest paid employees earning about 1.2 million, and the highest, of course, the IGG is earning 17 million something. And this has helped us a lot to stem the exit of staff from the institution.
Development partners have, since the establishment of the Inspectorate of Government, supplemented its budget with donations of vehicles and funds for various activities that have enhanced service delivery. This support is expected to continue as the Inspectorate implements the current 5-year strategic plan.
We're currently developing a 5-year work plan with a number of anti-corruption agencies, particularly the Inspectorate of Government, to try and work across the accountability chain, so from the very beginning of audits all the way through to adjudication. And of course, the Inspectorate of Government plays a big role in administrative sanctions and criminal sanctions, investigations, prosecutions, and work around asset declaration as well. So it is a very central role in that work plan.
The Inspectorate has over the past 25 years established links with many regional and international bodies.
You're a member of the International Ombudsman Institute, and here they organize trainings that are related to the Ombudsman function, which is one of the core functions of the Inspectorate of Government. We also attend trainings organized by the International Anti-Corruption Association. They also invite us for their meetings and conferences, which is also a networking area. And during these forums, we get to benefit as an institution because you get to share experiences with other anti-corruption authorities internationally. We also have the African Ombudsman and Mediators Association, where we also meet frequently with the different leaders from within Africa. And we also use this as a networking forum and also sharing experiences in the fight against corruption in Africa. And recently, there's been a new association which was launched, the Africa Association of Anti-Corruption Authorities. And this one will also be very key, where we shall be able to meet and share experiences and come up with strategies on how corruption can best be fought in our region.
Despite this support, the Inspectorate faces a big resource gap to recruit the desired number of staff and logistics to carry out more investigations.
We don't have sufficient budget to cover the staff numbers that we need. So we are planning to float about 20 for this financial year, but of course we need to write to finance to give us permission and the funding for that. Now, our major challenge there is financing, because the gaps are there, but we can't fill them with other money. So we have to launch out to finance. Another problem that we have existing as a problem is this insufficient financing for operations. The operational wing needs a lot of money, and we do not have that kind of money to cover all the activities.
Other challenges still remain, including acquiring expertise and technology to counter increasing sophistication in fraud.
If we had the proper technology, we would not only be able to investigate on time, but we would be able to intercept some of these corrupt activity before it occurs. So I think the biggest challenge we have as an office is really to integrate technology in our activity. For instance, government now, most of their financial transactions is done through what they call IFMIS. Now, the staff of the Inspector of Government are not trained in that. So you can see a very big challenge to investigate. Things are going on wire. By the time you realize, they are paid. You go to find out the track, you cannot even get it because you don't know. The whole thing is in the computer.
Going forward after 25 years, the Inspectorate of Government will need to increase capacity to handle the high number of cases that require investigation and prosecution, as well as strengthening systems to eliminate corruption.
We must continue to arrest, investigate, arrest where we suspect wrongdoing, and prosecute. We are going to focus more on administrative sanctions. We want to work more with the service commissions. We want to work more with the local governments because the public service standing orders and the public service, the laws that deal with the public service, they have their own sanctions. We also want to build capacity of the inspectorate in terms of numbers. We are campaigning for more staff. We also want to build synergies that exist between the Inspectorate of Government and other agencies that are anti-corruption in nature in the government of Uganda. We are building a framework which we will use to engage organized civil society and make them participate more and more in our work, because we believe that they are more on the ground, and if we are working together, maybe we'll be able to stop the loss of funds by activating the demand side of accountability.